Hello, my name is Jerry and I'm the E5 postcode ecologist. Welcome to the Hackney Buzzline. The Hackney Buzzline is a 4-kilometre long pollinator corridor that connects up 4 parks in East Hackney, from Hackney Downs through Millfields and Daubeny Fields down to Mabley Green. So we're out here on Daubeny Fields Park in Hackney. We've been working here for the last year, planting flowers all over the park that are good for pollinators, for bees and for butterflies. And we're now going to be expanding the project to create a pollinator corridor, which we're calling the Hackney Buzzline. It's a 4-kilometre long corridor which we're going to enhance the habitats on the parks, which are all local sites of importance for nature conservation, by creating more meadow areas, by creating relaxed mowing regimes around the park. And then we're going to link them up through the residential areas, engaging communities, community groups, religious organisations, religious centres, churches and mosques, local businesses, schools, youth centres, and anyone who wants to get involved, really. Improving the environment and creating this connectivity between the parks so that butterflies, bumblebees and other pollinators can move freely between the parks. They're going to have flowers where they can forage and get their energy from, and long grass habitats where they can breed and rest. And what we're hoping is that we're going to be seeing many more butterflies, many more bumblebees, different species of butterflies and bumblebees. And this all helps support a new local nature recovery plan, which Hackney Council has recently adopted. The UK is one of the most nature depleted countries in the world. We have lost a number of important species, and many other species have been declining in numbers. This is as a result of habitat loss. We've lost 97% of our meadows in this country. One thing that many people find surprising is that towns and cities can act as refuges for many species of butterflies and bumblebees. Within towns and cities, you have many different kinds and varieties of habitats. You have parks, you have gardens, you have street trees, you have community gardens, allotments, and other kinds of green spaces. And these are heaven for many butterflies and bumblebee species. A lot of people are concerned now about the loss of nature in the UK. You don't have to sit back and wring our hands about it. There are things that we can do. Everyone can play a role in helping bring back wildlife into the UK. Particularly pollinators, it's very easy to put in plants that bumblebees and butterflies like, and that will help encourage local populations. Pollinators are particularly important because without them, we wouldn't have any flowers, our crops wouldn't be pollinated, we wouldn't have fruit growing in our trees. They provide a vital service for us, as well as being very beautiful in their own right. There's 2 main ways of creating green corridors in a city. You might be surprised to hear that actually just under 50% of London is already green space. The problem is that a lot of that green space is mown grass, amenity grass in public parks, to a certain extent lawns as well in gardens. And mown grass is actually, it's great for playing on, but mown grass is very species poor. Because the grass is cut short, flowers can't grow on it, and pollinators need flowers to get their nectar and their pollen in order to survive. There's great opportunities in parks to increase the amount of diversity within the park, both in terms of vegetation diversity and structural diversity, and that can really help improve the biodiversity value of parks. In Hackney, there's a real drive to plant more meadows, to have relaxed mowing regimes, and to increase the structural diversity in parks, and that itself will generate more biodiversity. But it's not just about parks, because between the parks, there are also opportunities to green up spaces, smaller spaces, but they provide important stepping stones in their own right. So you can put up green walls, green roofs, you can plant around pavement tree pits. People who have access to gardens can do a lot to improve their own gardens, take away some of the hard surfaces or the paving, create wilder areas, wilder corners in their garden, create compost heaps, use water butts and things like that. There's an awful lot that ordinary people can do in order to help nature on their own doorstep. And if everybody does that together, you create this connectivity, it's called connectivity, between all these different green spaces, so that across a landscape, you're creating a much better, healthier environment for nature. And it's also important for your well-being as well, because there's a lot of research now to show that having contact with nature, that being in nature, that being active in nature is really good for your mental health. And obviously gardening is also really good for your physical health. What we're also trying to do with this pollinator corridor is to link it to walking and cycling routes. We want to create wildflower meadow strips and do planting along these active travel routes to encourage people to cycle and walk more. So we really encourage you to join with us to create the Hackney Buzzline.